All right.
We'll just do a real quick
All right, up to
turn
the...
around. Don't fall on these narrow stairs.
Is it the third floor or the fourth floor? I've lost
Oh,
count.
this is the third floor.
Okay.
Because we don't count the mezzanine as a floor. And this is, I call it like our farming and home goods. We have all kinds of tools and things here. As you can see, this is also, besides having the second mural stabilized, we want to get this area redone. The front here is pretty good, but this needs work. This is not a corpse here. This is the leather suit from a man by the name of Alex Justice. And he was like a, I don't know, kind of a mountain man archaeologist. And I lived just around the corner from where he lived, and my dad remembers him from when he was little. He says, now, here's another funny story. My dad says he remembered Alex Justice and all the kids who were afraid of him and would cross the street when they saw him coming. And he had a cherry tree, I think it was cherry, from his farm that he made into his casket, and he slept in his casket every night. Of course. Okay.
No
so
wonder
then
the kids were afraid
I'm
of him.
believing all of this stuff. Well, it's true. He did build his own casket, and he did sleep in it. Okay. Well, I found out that Alex Justice died like a month before my dad was born. But my dad swears he knew. I said, oh, I'm not going to argue with you, Dad. But anyway.
Maybe it was his ghost he saw.
I don't know. I think he probably heard the big kids talking about it, and so that's what he... But anyway, we have all kinds of things here. We have the tin bathtub. These came out of the barber shop, actually. They found these things when they were being remodeled. And so we want to do some more complete displays here. And like I said, we're just going to kind of rush through this. I'm not going to really stop and talk about a lot because I'm afraid I have to get going. But all of these arrowheads were found by Alex Justice. All of the Civil War bullets we have, Alex Justice walked to Gettysburg and picked up things. It was before it was illegal to do that. These are some carvings that he made on his trees that were found on his property and brought to the museum. All of these axes, he was a blacksmith. He made like toys and things that he traded for. And I'm not sure if he made these axe heads or not, but some Indian moccasins. He walked to Florida, got on a boat, went to Puerto Rico, traded some of his trinkets that he had for goods that he wanted. Then he got back on his little boat, got to Florida, and walked home. Okay. So
It's a long walk.
He was just that kind of guy. All these arrowheads and hatchet heads and things. And we have a mastodon, a couple mastodon teeth that he found.
Wow.
Are you truly amazed by all of these wonderful treasures? This is our tribute. This needs to be cleaned up, but this is our tribute to the cheese making that went on in Wellington and the dairy industry.
Did they have a specialty cheese?
You know, we have never been able to find out. I think it was just a generic kind of yellow-white cheese that was known as a farmer's cheese.
Farmer's cheese, okay.
And when we talk about cheese factories, it's not like we think of today as a huge cheese factory. It was in the guy's barn. They would milk the cow, and then they would take it to the shed next door, and they would pasteurize it, separate it, and turn it into cheese. It wasn't like it was a huge big building. And I don't know what happened to it. I had a picture of what one of the cheese factories looked like. It was just like a farm. Okay, I don't know if you can zoom in on it or not. But that top picture, that's a cheese factory. And you can see it's just a shed off of the guy's barn.
Fascinating.
Kind of like what the Amish used to do.
In Washington Courthouse, there used to be a cheese plant, Cudahy's, and it was huge. And finally went out of business. Unfortunately, they made the best cheese, and I'd go over for my mom and get these big 5-pound blocks, wheels of cheese.
Yeah.
And they were so good, and they're wrapped in wax. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And this I call the home goods section. And I love this area. We have a section that shows some of the old medicines that were available to people, toys. This is a little bit newer toy, and a lot of people come in and say, "Oh, my grandma had one like that we used to play with all the time." We always have a trouble here at the museum. Do we have things from the 1800s, which is what I think of a museum, but younger people think of things from the 1970s or the 1960s, and that's ancient to them. And I'm thinking, no, I lived in those times. But so.
Well, you and I are within a few years of age of each other, and I knew people who were born right after the Civil War, and I'm sure you did too. I knew people who fought in the First World War and in the Second World War and in Korea and Vietnam and Iraq and Afghanistan. My son was in Iraq.
Yes.
Even.
Yes.
And
I know. But it is hard for us to. We have so many things. We have a lot of things that are in storage, which is typical of a museum. But we want the museum to be relevant to people. We want it to be things that they're interested in seeing. Of course, like I said, I'm interested in the really old things. But to the kids, the things I grew up with are really old. This is one of those machines that was in the shoe store. And you would try on your shoes, and then you would put your foot in there. It's an X-ray machine. And then your parents could look in here and see if you had enough room for your toes to move.
Oh, really?
Needless to say, it doesn't work, and we wouldn't let it work anyway. But my husband said he remembers running into the shoe store and wanting to see their feet, because you can see the skeleton of your feet, you can see your bones.
I never saw one of those.
Yeah. Well, this came from Wellington. Just all different things, the button-up shoes, and we've got some top hats, and this would be a morning, MOURNING
Right.
hood that a lady would wear, and this would have been from probably like the 1860s, 1870s, somewhere in there. Then I was trying to make this, I worked on this display, I need to do some more work on it. I kind of wanted to make this like a general store sort of look to it with the different things that are in here. And we found a spoon mold that had a spoon in it that they had poured, and the kids, when the school kids come in, I always open it up for them to see and tell them how there was no Walmart or anything, and so if you broke a spoon because you were digging in the dirt, you just gave it to Mom and Dad, they melted it down and poured a new one, because
Wow.
that's just how you got it. So, and we have home goods here, things from a long time ago, and the different dresses. And this is a storage area that we have. People have been very generous to us with uniforms and wedding dresses and different things, which is nice to make the pretty displays. And we change out the mannequins every so often to have some different things. Quilts, very old quilts. This is called a ribbon quilt because it was made with swatches of ribbon.
And you said that's a ribbon quilt?
Ribbon quilt. See how these
Okay.
are ribbons.
I see.
This is a tied quilt that they piece together the top, and then you stitch the top to the bottom with these little threads. And a lot of crocheted things and doilies, and so there you have it. That's our museum on their
Wonderful.
spinning wheels.
All right, I guess that's going to conclude our little tour today.
It is.
All
I'm
right.
afraid we got to close up shop.
All right, well, Becky Norton, thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to conclude with?
If you'd like to see us, come to Wellington, Ohio. We'd be glad to show you through.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
I appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
to see us too.
It's been a real pleasure.
Good.
It has.
Good. All right. Thank you.